Been down the darkest road, didn't think I could get out. Now I just walk on through, the ghosts are all around. Here and I can't be moved, I never look back. They start creeping in, but I'm leaving them in the past. Don't tell me that I'm dreaming, don't tell me that I'm wrong, 'cause I've heard it all before, and just look where I am now. We can break the cycle, find our own way out. Was the light at the end of the tunnel, so I look at myself.
All right, everyone, welcome to Atlantic R6. We're in the round of 16, and I am here with Ryan Sosa. Ryan, how are you doing, my friend? I believe this is our first time working together.
It sure is. You know, it's a pleasure to be here. Super pumped to watch these two great teams go at it, and yeah.
Honestly, and I think this will be a pretty good matchup for tonight. I think this will be a lot closer. But let's start off by taking a look at the map and see what we've got going on. For Cumberland, they're going to be starting off with map 1 Clubhouse. Then for map 2, Penn State picking Night Haven Labs. And for the decider, we're going to be going on to Lair. So, Ryan, how are we feeling about these map picks? I can already tell you how I feel about Lair, which is, I don't know, because I
Not so
haven't been
hot.
playing the game.
I get that. So for the Cumberland pick, according to our records, they have a 100% win rate on club. They've played it once, and going into the second match, I guess they're gonna be wanting to repeat that. And then for Penn State, they chose Nighthaven here, and they have won that 2 out of the 3 times that they have played it. Their one loss being against App State, which they lost a comeback victory. They were up 6-1 and lost 8-6 week 1.
Holy crap. Yeah, that's
Oh,
that's a loss and a half right there.
yes,
But
sir.
I'm gonna be honest, that just kind of tells me, I don't know, maybe got too cocky. That's I mean, that is alarming, but hard to really say. But I will point this out though, which is interesting. From what I can see, Penn State Blue has a pretty low attack win rate, at least in
They do.
comparison to their defense. They have a 62.7% defense win rate. However, on their attack threat, 44.8%, 30 out of 67. So we could possibly see a bit of an imbalance on the attack, which I think is going
True.
to be the most problematic for Clubhouse of all maps, I would say. As far
I
as Layer
agree.
and Labs go, I think they'll hold out fine. So possibly we'll see a standard 1-to-1 going into a decider. That's other than that, I really don't think that's going to be too much of a throw for Penn State.
Yep, and then Cumberland, for their attack and defensive win rates, they're at a 62% across the board. So,
Mm.
pretty even. You know, they're up there competing with the big dogs as they are the fifth seed playoffs, and Penn State is the 12th. So, yeah, coming into this, Cumberland they did not play in the first round. They had a first round bye, and Penn State did beat Illinois State 2-0. So. You know, Penn State, they have more a little bit more practice. You know, they played last week compared to you know, Cumberland having their week break, and I believe the match is starting. Let's get straight into it. Going to map bands here.
As far as map bans go, I don't think we'll see anything special here. There's really nothing to talk about. I mean, it's Clubhouse. You're probably going to get rid of the Cade for basement. You're going to get rid of the zombie for the balconies. Ying is now unbanned, so we'll most likely see Ying off of the table because she's just so obnoxious with those flashes, especially with how you can change the timing. And of course, the Blackbeard, we're still in a shield meta. That's not going anywhere. Holy crap. I just seen a clip of somebody rushing border with, I believe it was Blitz not too long ago. So that tells you everything you need to know. All the
Hmm.
shield clips.
Definitely, and Blackbeard, you know, with the recent changes, still super strong. You know, got to get him off the
Wait,
board. And
was that Jasmine I just saw?
yes. If we hold, can we look at the scoreboard real quick?
Yeah, that's kind of
If that's possible.
insane.
There we are. Yeah, it looks like Jazzman, you know, very popular tier 2 caster, Jazzman.ssg is playing for Penn State today, which is interesting. We did miss Cumberland's two bans there. They decided to ban Deimos on attack and Mira on defense, and Penn State going for their.
I don't think I can really get along with the Deimos ban, to be 100% honest with you. And here's why. It's such a small map that you're basically going to clear everything no matter what. Unless you just don't want to do a full clear. I really, on this map of all maps, I don't really see the strength of going for it. Not to mention, depending on who you ping, especially if you're like on site, you're not going to get a lot of wallbang opportunities. So I can't get along with it. I really can't. But regardless, that's Cumberland's choice, and they're now out the window. So we're not going to see him, who's been quite strong as of this season.
All right. So looks like Penn State elects to go gym bedroom here for their first site. Have a Fenrir, a Azami, which I don't think you see too much on this site. A Bandit, Castle, and a Malusi.
She definitely has her uses. Yeah, Azami has her uses when it comes to gym and primarily bedroom to block off those lines of sights, especially when you have a bandit, which we do see Rocky pulling out. That's going to be really important paired with Fuji on the castle. The main goal there is going to be preventing gym from being opened up in such a way that they can target and get rid of those jacuzzi walls. So this is actually a composition that invests heavily into keeping that wall open. Though, there is no tuber out, so Rocky will have to be quick to the step. Though, luckily for him, there's no capital on Cumberland's side, which will make preventing that wall from getting open a lot easier. Now we've got Rifa looking for a line of sight onto Cash, trying to maybe take the first one into construction, and there's the zombies already starting to block things out, stall the time. Going a little bit of aggressive peek. Still no damage going out, but we do see At the Beach going out very early on. That's going to be thanks to Prone Stars, as well as Whale Cookie, Rifa taking a crucial early pick. That's both Fenrir and a zombie gone. A lot of active utility now gone.
And, you know, I'm sure Penn State really wanted to keep that Fenrir on the board, especially for later in the round. Rifa takes out Jazzman, and 2 minutes remaining. Penn State is down 2 to 5 here in the man advantage. Absolutely rocky start for them so far.
Well, yeah, and with the zombie gone as well, they have no way to prevent that wall from getting open, especially with Rocky being the last player alive, preoccupied all the way into bedroom. The pressure is just going to mount, and it pretty much means that Penn State Blue is forced into a down spiral where they're going to have to start swinging this out, and with only 2 players, it's pretty hard to play this together. Rocky gonna get caught on the gym cam, getting taken out by Rifa. That's gonna be yet another 3K. The fuse are now going down, and Fuji stuck and can't get way out. Cumberland going to secure a flawless round here.
You know, Cumberland really did a great job of, you know, just applying pressure on the windows. You know, they used the line of sight to their advantage that Penn State had made, especially on the cash side. They got 2 early picks over there, and I mean after that, pretty much just avalanched on top of them. Yeah, very solid, flawless round for Cumberland. Basement here.
It just seemed like Penn State Blue wasn't really prepared, I would say. I mean, if you look at how a lot of those picks came out earlier in the rounds, they were just kind of getting caught by traditional lines of sight, which is not something that you should be running into on a map like Clubhouse because everyone knows how to play it. So to get caught on those lines, especially like what we saw from Rifa over by Construction Balk, that's a very common line of sight onto cash to counter those head height holes for Construction or Bedroom hold to counter the cash push. You kind of expect it to be turned against you. So could just be not properly warmed up, but either way, I hope that's not a trend. Otherwise, steamroll incoming, folks.
So Penn State here, they have deployed a roamer on the 3rd floor. We have a shallow roam from Jazzman here. We have the Goyo looking to take a fight here on the master bed window with Ash. What's up? Going to main stairs there. Nothing's home. Cumberland getting some drones out early. They're definitely going to look to try and clear this Goyo out that they know is here.
I don't like it.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Goyo goes down by Prone Stars on the Root. Okay. Interesting pick. But, you know, I mean, we've seen a lot more teams recently starting to run the Recruit. You know, a lot more gadgets, especially with Prone Stars running the Impact EMPs and the Hard Breach charges. You know, that provides some pretty good wall opening potential for Cumberland Phoenix.
Well, the important thing when it comes to Recruit is that utility redundancy for secondary utility, right? That's one thing that we see is with how aggressive the meta is right now, you don't want a single player to hold all the cards, because if that player goes down, well, now the castle falls apart, so to speak. And I think that's why having an operator like that to provide just a little bit of extra firepower, whether it's, you know, the EMPs, if Thatcher goes down, or the hard breach, if your breacher goes down, though, then again, that redundancy is not so much necessary as you have 2, Hibana and Ace. We're going to see some first one for this round. Whale Cookie going to walk up West Stairs, going to take one down. That's going to be Prone Stars getting taken out, and that's going to put it to a minute remaining. You still got one above, takes back-to-back, taking major damage out. And it's going to look like so far Cumberland will be able to collapse onto Penn State Blue and take full site control, as Tangley will be the one to finish the job from Church.
You know, that push really started there with Rifa's double kill going down main stairs. Really gave his team the surprise push that they needed. I'm sure Hibana dropped the hatch there, got the final kill onto that Cade. Really just opened the push out for Cumberland, and they take their second round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
I mean, this is kind of what you expect, though, when you push back a little bit too late. I liked that attempted counter from Blue Stairs. They didn't really have a lot of presence or pressure there, so it was a good opportunity to try to counter some of that verticality, but it came a bit too late, and after taking one where all the exchanges were happening, what you were effectively dealing with is just one player missing. Sure, you took somebody, but you weren't really there to help with the main execute, and that's kind of the drawback for playing like that so late when the execute was already about to be underway. The attackers already have what they're looking for, and so it starts to have significantly less impact unless you can pull more, but he wasn't really where the actual push was happening.
Penn State here returning to basement. Pretty much the same operator lineup. Try and avoid what happened last round, especially with their roamer getting taken out so early. I feel like if you're gonna play a basement roamer, you have to waste a little bit more time on the hatches getting open. Find a pick here or there. I think that's gonna be their key to success in this.
If they can get a little bit of those early picks, that early aggression, I think that's going to help them quite a lot, because they've been doing so well on that Cumberland. But we just got to see a little bit more action coming from Penn State Blue. We know that as you hit the upper echelons, the more you just try to hunker down and hope for the best, the more you're going to lose rounds. And it's a rough start, especially when you're losing 2 attacks out the jump, right? That just allows you to build momentum. And so far, we haven't seen a timeout clearly. So this kind of means that this is just going to keep steamrolling, though Jasmine looking to get very aggressive over by main stairs. And there's a lot of players funneled towards this direction. If he keeps quiet, he could possibly get some major damage here as they get ready to make their move towards setting up verticality on Blue Stairs. Though Jasmine is going to get spotted on the drone. The immediate swing to try to get a little bit of damage out, maybe a pick outright. Doesn't connect any shots. Smoke canisters come out, try to slow things down. But they do have all eyes, and you've also got one holding the walk down below. That's going to be Tangly. Jasmine's stuck in a corner here. Has to fight this in some way. The flash is now coming out. Here comes the swing, and Rifa takes Jasmine down as he's completely backed in the corner with no support. Rifa taking another. That's going to be Rocky down. Now a minute remaining. 2 players down, especially the one and only Nitro out of the picture. That means safe plant, no struggles for Cumberland, and all of a tough fight for Penn State Blue. Okay. DK coming out.
Norway with the team kill on his teammate. We have Will Cookie on a very cheeky flank there. Gets 1.
Okay.
3v2 situation with 40 seconds remaining. Cumberland running around trying to find where they're gonna drop here. Get a plant down. We have 2 on main stairs pushing down here. 1 going Moto. Azami takes down 1, looks back to main stairs, falls back. 1 does drop Moto. Tested by the Goya.
So far, they're pretty heavily split up, and I would say right now, Penn State Blue has a bit of an advantage here when it comes to Crossfires to denying that walk-up, though they do make that push into Church, and they are going to go for that counter plant. And other than 2 impacts, they don't really have a way to contest this unless they are able to clear out this Moto player. They got the ping down, don't even try to go for the wall bang as the diffuser does go down. Kerway does go down, and so does Spoonman, as we'll see Penn State Blue completely wrap around to shut Cumberland down. No more momentum. Penn State Blue now in the game with the first round.
That round was very dicey. That really could have gone either way, but Penn State really shined on the post plant there. 2v2. They knew where both of the attackers were. They knew where the plant was down, and Azami on the wrap there really helped secure the round for them.
Yeah, when you look at how Penn State Blue was just positioned, it was all around just a better situation. 1 in blue, 1 over in Armory, watching main stairs. You have more support there, where Cumberland didn't really have that option afforded to them. They lost a lot of space when they tried to funnel down main stairs and got absolutely slapped. It does create a pretty challenging situation to try to go for a plant, right? Even if it was, higher numbers like 3v3, at least you can set a cross there. You have nothing. And defense on or attack on basement's already hard enough as it is. That just makes it even tougher.
We see Penn State going back to a gym bed here, and There's an interesting operator they have chosen to bring out here, and that is the Clash. You know, we don't normally see teams, you know, really bring out Clash unless, you know, they're down maybe a couple rounds, need a mercy round here or there. But we see it. Well, Penn State is down 1, which is a very interesting choice.
I do wonder what the goal is going to be around Clash, because that is a specific choice, a deliberate one, I would say. And that's what I'm wondering is what they're going to do with it. Though Jasmine is situated around CCTV with the Clash, so it looks like the plan here is going to be to deny them getting that immediate walk up into CCTV and trying to hold them there for as long as humanly possible. But Jasmine goes immediately down, has the SMG out, prone to take that. Nitro goes out, not going to connect. Whale Cookie going for a dry Nitro, which doesn't pull through. And that already just destroys what they were going for and puts them at an advantage with still 30 seconds to go before a mandatory fallback is really going to take place. And look at that, they have cash control already. That's not a good situation to be in if you're Cumberland. And great shot coming out from Ree, pushing construction, taken at the beach. With that Azami still up, wasn't really enough. The intel is just all on Cumberland's favor. I mean, you still have drones running around on site. So much intel available. Rocky taking Reefa back in turn, putting it to a 1 and 2 for picks. Nice shot to catch Prone Stars, but the refrag coming in from Spoonman. This is looking very tight at the moment, as it's only a 1-player advantage for Cumberland. Penn State Blue getting a nice slap back in turn.
You know, I mean, beginning of this round, the cash push, Rocky gets one on Tangley, and we're in a 2v2 here. I mean, this is still anyone's round. Rocky, very tight angle here on Thermite. Thermite does run in. The default. Shot from behind by Rocky. And Spoonman. Penn State wins. That is incredible. I mean, listen, if you would have asked me, like, maybe, you know, 30 seconds ago who I thought was going to win this round, I definitely wouldn't have said Penn State, especially with how their plan to hold cash was going. You know, bring out the Clash, have the Val Cold Red. Cumberland just ran straight through, and Reefa as well got into con, got 1. So, I mean, they're already up 2. And, I mean, their entry was so perfect there, but Penn State really just knows how to play from behind. I mean, they just did very well on this round and the round previous. They walked away with another round.
Yeah. Towards the end, Cumberland wasn't really consolidated towards their push. They pretty much were trying to ride that wave of momentum, but it started to slow down once Penn State Blue backed it up towards, I believe it's Logi, I'm forgetting callouts, geez, it's been that long, and towards Jim. And that pushback is what allowed them to kind of stop that riding the wave. But also, too, if you look towards the end of the round, yes, Cumberland had a lot of great intel going into that push, but towards the end, they were down to pretty much 3 drones. They didn't have a lot of intel to work with towards the very end, and they weren't really rounded out to close it up. Penn State Blue correctly called that out and was able to pretty much put a solid end to it before they could really mount up any pressure. That's what you want to do when you're at a player disadvantage. You don't give them the time to consolidate, or you won't have a chance.
You see Cumberland bringing the Maverick out here. Flat. That PC wall open. Having the Bandit fall off very quickly here. So I think what Cumberland's trying to do here quickly is, you know, just get those Bandits off, make sure the Bandit trick isn't available, and use Ace to get that wall. Unless they want to risk Maverick tricking. Okay, Maverick getting in construction here. We don't see this very often, but another line of sight for the attackers to use.
Not gonna lie, the Maverick work was a little bit rough there, setting up the line. But either way, Norway has to play really careful with how low HP he is at. All it really takes is 1 shot, and he's gonna go down, and that is going to diminish their ability to get these walls open quite significantly. Though, I guess that doesn't really matter. Fuji going to get taken down as Reefa's already on site, takes Jasmine down. And you see Fuji going out as well. That is big presence that you do not want to have happen if you are Penn State Blue. And Rifa's not done yet. Takes Whale Cookie as well, just ripping it apart. And now you've got the rest of Cumberland coming in to capitalize as Prone Stars now goes for the plant. And this is immediately a dire situation. The Desperate Nitro goes through, not going to connect to anyone, just gives away his position. And that is the power of a walk-up. And I mean, if you look at Penn State Blue's composition, they don't have anything to deal with that. That was kind of inevitable when Rifa has been on a tear thus far with 11-2. Now the post-plant situation has to find something, but is going to hold into stock instead. And this is going to be a tack timeout. But it looks like Cumberland's trying to find him to reduce that time significantly.
Well, Add to Beach is hiding in stock here. You know, Penn State's just talking it over to figure out what they did wrong here. I just want to say this, you know, if I was an esports coach and I wanted to teach teams how to attack in Rainbow Six Siege, I'd pull up some of Rifa's game film. Like, the space taking we've seen him do today is just insane. Like, on the gym bed site, taking in a con, getting a free frag there. I mean, con isn't an easy place to swing, especially if you're running in a zombie. You know, defender could be hiding anywhere, and they're just getting straight into con, straight into cash, getting two. I mean, that pretty much just solidified the round there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Cumberland just doesn't push their luck too far, they honestly get a lot of solid ground here. This is where they are playing so freaking well, creating that opening and riding that momentum. It's a dangerous opportunity style play that Cumberland is rocking, and it's doing them quite well. Though, here's the thing, it's still around a 3-2, which is about what you would expect at this point. So whether or not that's enough to carry through remains to be seen, as we now see Penn State Blue rocking it back into basement.
So one thing we do see different about Cumberland's attack strategy here is Norway is off the ace now running Thatcher. I believe on basement they've been running a Havana, an ace, and a recruit, so they have 3 ways to get hard. So that's something different. I wonder what they're thinking with the Thermite here, or I'm sorry, the Thatcher. Maybe they're gonna look to see Havana get.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
no.
So Norway, very lucky pick onto Jazzman, just spraying through the barricade there. Very unfortunate for Penn State. That's an awful loss, especially since Jazzman has been playing those stairs with smoke, and I mean that's been a very major choke point for this Penn State defense.
Yeah, that has been quite a recurring trend, is a lot of early losses coming out to Penn State Blue. But it's not how they start that's the focus. It's how they finish. That I always say it's far more important. But so far we got one player stuck all the way in cash. A lot of intel coming out. That's going to be Whale Cookie trying to hold this, looking to try to force him one here. Goes for that swing on the CCTV. Does connect onto Prone with a very nice shot before Prone can get away into server cover on CCTV and will manage to get away. That's a lot of secondary utility that has just been lost on the side of Cumberland. Still plenty for verticality and getting all of those crucial hatches open. But either way, it eliminates the redundancy. Any loss here is going to burn pretty hard.
So last basement defense by Penn State, they did kind of give up the roam there. We see them bring it back, and they do walk out with a 1 there. Unfortunately, not going to be a man advantage for them, but nonetheless, a pick is a pick, and okay, well, one of their hard breach openers is down, so Angry Tree is very low health. I believe they haven't quite made their way working into kitchen yet, and Moto Hatch is still closed, so I mean, this defense by Penn State has been very strong on the hatch game. Finally, Cumberland getting that kitchen hatch open.
Now, this has been pretty slow coming from Cumberland, but we're not seeing a lot of pushback from Penn State Blue, though if they can't ramp things up or start getting some kind of basement presence, I think that could be potentially a choke point and a problem for them, especially if they try to walk down main. As you got Rocky already with that lineup ready to go. towards main stairs. If they pivot in that direction, that Nitro is going to be gnarly. But it looks like they're going to be full sending a drop here. Flash going out, same with an EMP. Goes for the drop. Norway now looking to make their way into the corner. Does manage to initiate that plan. Spoon and Reef are going to be able to take one, both in turn. And now we see at the beach looking to try to walk up to stop this diffuser, but can't thanks to the hatch hold from Tangly Tree.
It's a fantastic plant spot there by Cumberland. You know, just hide away and let the defenders come to you, really. I mean, they had nothing to deny that there. And Cumberland finishes the split 4-2 on attack. And I mean, this map is very, or I mean, it's rather defender sided. Most of these sites are rather, but yeah. Penn State gonna come back and
Defenders, protect your
see
bombs from
what
being
they can
defused
do
by
on
attackers.
attack here.
Yeah, of all maps, Clubhouse, not the best to go to 4-2. It's almost strictly a 3-3, but it's not a killer, right? I'm not going to say by any means this is going to certainly mean an end for Penn State Blue here. Though it is a little disconcerting that now they're going to have to do this on attack. We did see quite some gaps in positioning. And when you're dealing with a pinch or against a roamer, you can't really afford those types of situations where you have a gap where a roamer can swing, take one, and get away. Cumberland did this pretty well on the attack, flushing them out. Penn State Blue now has to be able to do the same.
All right, so Penn State's first attack here, going to be attacking the bed site. Interesting layout of operators they've chosen. We have a Zope, a Maverick, an Ash, a Thatcher, and an Ace. So Zope is going to be really useful, just trying to eliminate the shields. The shield in construction is very, I mean, trying to clear a defender off that is quite tricky. Seems Cumberland has come prepared from the Jaeger. See how this plays out.
I like this pixel angle, though, from Spoonman. That is really nice. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm sure teams have done it before. It's a known one, but it's actually the first time that I've ever seen it. And I'm so interested to see if Cumberland will be able to take one off of that. 'Cause that is a nice line of sight. Though, Rocky is looking to take that out, but lines up against that pixel angle. I don't think she'll get the chance before a pick goes through. Shots coming out, trying to take advantage of the pixel, but just can't quite connect. Rifa gonna take Fuji down. That will be their Thatcher, so no more Jacuzzi. Rocky going down as well. And this is a rough start for pushing into cash. A lot of pressure coming from construction, and it's putting that damage down. Penn State so far doesn't really have an answer to deal with this, especially when you look at how much util is invested to protect that deployable shield. We'll see another swing pull through, 1-for-1 as Rifa goes down. That's going to put at the beach and Will Cookie as the last players remaining, but they don't have enough util to get rid of all of these ADSs. Utility meta making a comeback? I'm just kidding, not a chance on Earth. But in any case, with a minute remaining, and they have nothing to show for it. Yeah, they have cash, but they have no way to break into construction, which is going to mandate a pivot.
I mean, besides you know, Whale Cookie doing the late roam here, I mean, Penn State has put 4 people trying to clear 1 shield, and I mean, they did get 1 pick off of it, but I mean, they lost 3 bodies there. That's not the way that you really see teams successfully attacking gym bed nowadays. So, I mean, that is, you know, one reason why Penn State is in the situation that they are now. I mean, they still haven't cleared the shield. Aberg getting a little bit active on the Jacuzzi wall. Finds 1.
Yeah, they're going to have to force a hop in here, and that's going to make this a really questionable situation. Walks right into Prone Stars, who's out in the open, just waiting for one to walk up. There's the drop. Prone Stars picks up another Cumberland to clean this out in a very convincing fashion. Penn State Blue, it's going to be a rough ride, as it's now 5-3. Or no, I'm sorry, 5-2.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you put 4, pretty much your whole team trying to attack cash. I mean, they were going pretty well at the start. They got into cash pretty easily with the Ash, got the wall open, applied some pressure, but the two man, I think it was the Bandit and the Wamai on the shield there, just pretty much stalled Penn State out. It was and I mean they walked away with 3 kills on it, and after that, I mean there were 30 seconds in the round. Penn State's attack pretty much just withered out.
You know what the really unfortunate thing about that is too? You know, there was one position they could have played that would have shut all of that down. A drop from Logi. That's all it would have taken. And no one even tried it. Heck, we didn't even see a hold from construction window. So can we really say we're surprised when you put that much utility into a chokehold and they just run it down into that chokehold that it was gonna be a mess? I can't say I would be surprised. I'm sorry. That was kind of the expected outcome.
So yep, I believe it is 5-2 Cumberland. We are going
Yes, it
into
is.
a rehost now. I believe one of the
Mhm.
players may have. All right. Well, yep. So 5-2, Cumberland up. They just need 2 more defensive wins. Take home map 1. And I mean, with a 62% defensive win rate, it's going to be hard to stop
Especially when you consider that Penn State's kind of on their weak point in regards to attacking here. You still have basement. CCTV provides a little bit of wiggle room, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless they can just completely pivot how they dealt with gym and bedroom. Because I would not be surprised if Cumberland ran that exact same composition. Because if they're going to funnel into it, why change it? That's a good setup. And it's very punishing and hard to get rid of. Though, of course, like I said, there's options. Drop down Logi, or I mean, bring a what's his name, Flores with their arterial device. You have options, but
them.
it just none of the choices that needed to be made to make it happen was there. So,
Exactly.
but potentially they could try to change it up. But I think in either way, unless they can just absolutely crush construction, you're still looking at a game point. Because remember, basement's still on the table. We just got started on the second half. And with how Penn State Blue's pushing right now, I think it's very clear that we're likely looking at a match point situation. Dire straits for game 1. But remember, this is Cumberland's pick at the end of the day.
Exactly. So I mean, Cumberland knew coming into here, they knew that they were dominant on this map. Away with a win here. I think Penn State's key to really win these next coming attacks are going to be pretty much just stop stalling on the attack. If you find that your way is blocked, you got to find a way around it.
Mhm.
So that's really what that's going to be.
It's a
That's what it's
little
going to
too early to call when it comes to the attack. I mean, again, we've only seen one round. But I think we can certainly say for defense that they've pretty much held to death. And I think too many times gave Cumberland the space to execute as they please. Those are probably going to be the areas that I would be keeping an eye out for layer, which is going to be even harder to attack, in all honesty. I mean, you're dealing with a much bigger map, a lot more roaming viability. Droning resources are going to be strained. It's a lot harder to attack on that map. So I think that how many rounds they can rack up on defense for Nighthaven Labs is going to be crucially important, but we're not quite there yet. We still got a few more rounds to go. Best case scenario, too. And looks like we're almost there with just one player looking to get back in. So once we get the word on that, we'll be right back in the action. But I mean, my question to you, Ryan Sosa, do you
Sure.
think this is going to continue to be a steamroll for Cumberland? Oh, and it looks like we do have all the players back. Or do you think there will be a hard pivot point where Penn State will rack up rounds?
It really depends on how Penn State chooses to play this. You know, once again, this is Cumberland's map pick, so they're obviously quite comfortable on this map. They knew what they wanted to do coming into it, and I mean they've executed pretty well so far. Penn State's all-time attacking record in AR6 is 44.8%. So, if sometimes early early season jitters, they happen. So it really just depends on
5
how
seconds to go.
Penn State chooses to attack here. They put up some some resistance, then some success.
Yeah, I do like the Jackal here from Whale Cookie, especially if the intention is to go for a fast-paced top-down, because I really do think they need all the comfort that they can get when it comes to actually executing on site. I do foresee that being a problem. We're getting a lot of aggression coming in from Rifa all the way in CCTV, looking to take one, but instead it'll be Rocky to take her down. That's a Nitro off the board already, though. Still got one more. Tingly Tree gonna be holding that. That will be the site anchor to deny the hatches, but that is exactly what Penn State Blue wants. A player advantage, and now just has to deal with Norway all the way up towards main stairs. Once that one player's down, they're going to be in a pretty strong situation. Drone comes out, going to spot Norway, goes for the peak, doesn't get any damage. Now's the time to fall back, and Cumberland will do just that. Starting to scale it back. They already lost one. You don't want to lose another. Drone's just stacking the pressure onto main, and now even the vertical. Penn State Blue getting really fast on nailing these players down, but will not be able to catch anyone as they fully fall back.
So, first basement defense for Cumberland here. They choose to bring the Valkyrie and roam up top, and when your roamer's dead at 230, that's one thing. But the most successful player on this map so far being dead first is a whole different. Rifa's pretty much the entire kill economy for Cumberland thus far. At 14-4, and that's a very big loss for them. While they are down one person in the man advantage, minute left. So we do see Rocky on Grim here, walking straight through dirt, trying to apply some pressure, while his teammate Jasmine kitchen hatch open.
Now with kitchen hatch open, they will have that line of sight. Big pick coming out from Rocky to take Spoonman down. That's just yet another. Though the difference here is they still have prone stars with those smokes available. That's going to allow them to split things up. But so far, Rocky will finally get taken out. That's a big pushback, as well as Will Cookie getting eliminated too. That's going to be a 3-3, even odds, with no direct site pressure or presence on the basement other than bottom main stairs. But remember, there's still that Nitro on the board, which is a big risk that Penn State Blue has to navigate here, and they're kind of stuck with this funnel unless they go for the pivot onto the kitchen drop. But those smoke canisters are going to prove problematic as Jasmine goes down thanks to Tangly Tree, but it will be a trade thanks to Fuji. Now going to be attempting to plant at the beach, manages to take Norway. This is huge. Now it's all up to defuse, and at the beach with that hold, no line of sight to be able to shut it down. Does get major damage actually, but you can't finish it off as Fuji will still be alive to plant, and at the beach to clean it up for Penn State to take their first attack.
That was a very scrappy win for Penn State. Like I said, they took the roamer off first pick very early, not able to make much of an impact there. I did start to feel a little bit scared for them once their Rim died in dirt and their Habana died dropping hatch. I felt something. And then especially because Moto was closed, they had the Legion playing the motocross onto main stairs, and eventually Legion fell off in the church, and State had a way to get into sight, and they got plant down successfully, picked the Legion, and that was that. It really could have gone either way, but Penn State stuck it out and walked away with their first attack win.
Yeah, I think choppy is the key word there, as we did see a lot of staggering towards Moto and main stairs, whether it was from Whale Cookie or Rocky. You don't want to be getting isolated on that on your own. Usually once you're moving down on basement, everyone's kind of dropping all at the same time. That kind of lack of coordination, I think, is something that Cumberland will severely take advantage of on basement, but it still provides a significant gleam of hope for Penn State Blue to win basement on the first attempt. Oh, and we got a disconnect. Rifa gonna go down. Now immediately put into a 4v5. I think it's too late for a timeout or rehost here, so that's just gonna have to be for the other round.
I mean, unfortunate for Cumberland, but this is huge for Penn State. I mean, especially because Rifa, pretty much the star of the show here so far on Clubhouse, going down, not really doing anything. That disconnect. Penn State does find their technical second pick, and this is a 5v3 with 2 minutes left.
Ooh.
5v2 with
Why
2
would you-
minutes left.
Yeah, I feel like Cumberland, with losing a player off the rip, was trying to get aggressive just to look for an even, but not going to get that. Penn State Blue to completely wipe out Cumberland here as they try to salvage an unfortunate situation. Doesn't pull through.
You know, that was an absolute steamroll of a round there by Penn State. I mean, the disconnect really gave them out of confidence, I guess, because I mean it was a 5v1 by 150, which is crazy fast. I mean, especially compared to the pace that they have been playing at, and just a overall really impressive round by them. I mean, they started spacing out their attacks a lot better after that. And walk away with their third attack win now.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that round was just kind of a giveaway. You know, Penn State Blue, they saw they lost a player. Cumberland tried to aggress to desperately even the numbers out. Didn't get the opportunity, and that just pretty much gave them a free win, right? We see this all the time. A player goes out during the middle of the round due to technical difficulties, and then it's just an aggressive slaughter from there with the team with 5 players almost always winning. That's just kind of how these things play out. So I really don't think there's too much to say there. Though obviously props to Penn State Blue for not getting sloppy, right? They still held their mechanics even though they were at a
100%.
steep advantage. But it other than that, it doesn't really speak to a whole lot. It just shows that Penn State Blue is at least keeping a calm enough mind to clear whatever they need to.
So yep, as we go into our second technical pause of the match thus far, the 2 attack wins that we've seen by Penn State have been, I mean, compared to the first attack round that they played, it's night and day. I mean, they're really getting their act together so far, and just spacing out, getting stuff open. Um, yeah, I mean, just they're doing what they need to do, and they're finding success out of it.
Mm-hmm. Certainly are, but whether or not they're going to be able to maintain that, I think will be the important question as we're going to be going back to gym and bedroom. But before that, we're still waiting on the missing player for Cumberland to come back due to technical difficulties. So we're going to head on to a quick break. Shouldn't take too long, but once that player returns, we'll be right back into the action. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're a stranger, and there's no point to pretend that you can't hear with me or waste my memory. I'm in danger, gotta quit while I'm ahead. Disclaimer, an emotion left unread. I'm in danger, and there's no point to pretend that you can't hear with me or waste my memory. Don't feel so right when I disconnect from you. Hard to say what we do.
All right, and we are now back. Technical difficulty now resolved. We've got Rhea back in the game, and as we said before, over into gym and bedroom. So, Penn State Blue has a chance to do a part 2 and take a round to even it out.
So yeah, we have Penn State on just a little bit of a heater on attack so far. I believe this is their second attack win in a row. Looking to continue that here for their third. Have a very early push onto Jacuzzi balcony here. Looking to get that open, apply some pressure to the defenders.
Yep, that's the opportunity that they're trying to find at the moment. But so far, looks like their angle will be, at least from Penn State Blue, to just get these standard walls open. It looks like they will manage to get Jacuzzi, as Rhea is nowhere to be found to try to stop that. Though Norway takes Will Cookie out very early on, and that's your execute potential already out the window. Remember, one of the things they struggle with is choke points. So losing a buster like Grim, pretty big sting.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Especially with, the difficulties they've had with clearing that construction shield. It looks like Cumberland's going to be running around pretty much the same hold that they did last time. It worked out pretty well for them at the beach, killing Prone Stars on the run out here. Rocky still looking to clear that shield from construction.
I don't know how I felt about that timing there. That just kind of seemed a little bit forced on the side of Cumberland, and Spoonman getting taken out by Rocky. Very nice shot to counter that powerful angle. Though we still see a little bit of stacking towards the shield, I still want to see that logic drop. But regardless, Penn State Blue, they are at the advantage. They can force to play this aggressively here. Rifa does manage to take Jasmine down, goes for the swing as Rocky's trying to reload, takes another. That's going to be huge to take out a big bulk of players. However, we'll see Penn State manages to catch out yet another, bringing it to 2-2 with that construction power position still available. They lost that control entirely. That control is now gone, but with it now much more open, they can choose to completely ignore construction.
So far in this match, we've seen plenty of standoffs, 2v2s, come down to the final seconds here. 35 seconds remaining. Rifa with a very impressive double kill to give them that advantage. Penn State looking to find some intel on where these defenders are hiding. Their push.
Oh, and they do manage to get the hop in at least alive, and that is big pressure to have. They have the drone spots. Tangley, who's looking to try to push up and take some major space. And Tangley Tree gets at the beach. That's going to be huge. Diffuser is no longer in hand. Now Fuji has to run up to grab this diffuser, but Rhea is just waiting for that diffuser to begin. And now with no time remaining, Rifa will be able to push this, but behind the hard wall does manage to get diffuser down. Rifa can't stop it. It's stuck on the rotate. Rifa taking Fuji, and that will give Cumberland a crucially needed round to maintain the lead and put them at match point.
Rifa with a very impressive round there. I believe that they got 3 or 4 kills there, especially on that choke and construction, and the final kill onto the planter to defuse the bomb and bring Cumberland to match point.
You know what I saw that hurt them really badly? They had that castle on Jim still there. They never dealt with that castle barricade. So when they tried to push from Jacuzzi and Jim, they were pretty much completely isolated, which in theory should not have happened, right? There should have been a way to cut that aggression off, reconvene over towards that door because it was blocked off. They didn't have the option. And that's what gave Cumberland that win there, was the ability to divide and conquer. Though, I do not see that being the case here on basement. No castle in hand. So, what are you thinking about if we're going to see a repeat closeout here, or maybe something a little different? Because I believe it was Penn State that won this last time on basement, right?
I believe, yes, you're right. Yep, very, very good execute by Penn State on that round. They did win this last time at Cumberland win.
Well, in any case, I think them trying to... I'm wondering how they're going to strengthen their defense, but either way, keeping their numbers retained for Cumberland will be quite crucial here because Penn State was able to get a very good top down, which allowed them, though the execute was a bit messy, allowed them to secure a round win. So what I'm looking for is how Cumberland handles Rome and how Penn State Blue is able to better lock up their execute. There it is.
I mean, pretty much a repeat so far. We seen Penn State get a very early pick to a member of the Cumberland Phoenix, and I mean that wasn't even their third floor roamer. So, and they take down Rifa for a
Oh my god.
5-3 advantage with 2 minutes and 5 seconds remaining.
I know Cumberland was doubling down on their hold above, but man, that's not how you do it. If you're going to have two players above, play off of each other or something. That's just, that's not how you do it. Especially when you're losing your top frag and then you're losing yet another roamer. The top down's completely collapsed, and now Penn State has numbers advantage and a significant one at that, as well as the speed, as there's nobody left to contest them. They have this full control above. And Whale can take Tangly as well, walking all the way into Moto alone. Bold, but that's just yet a number, leaving Spooman and Prone all alone to try to defend this entire site. Those smokes with that little players remaining is not going to do you that much good.
Lone Star's looking to, be a little bit sparky for his team here. Does take down at the beach. 3v2 with a minute left, and 2v2 with a minute left. Cumberland fighting back here.
Yeah, they're taking their ones, and that's big. Getting two of their headaches now out of the way immediately. Though the two players needed to finish up the setup is still available, Fuji and Jasmine. But as far as execute potential, again, Rocky is down. No Grim. So other than the drones that they have remaining, they're not going to really be able to isolate these players based off of sheer real-time intel. Though the flash goes out, it looks like they're going to try to send smoke going to block them off. You got a player over in blue as well to cover this as well. As a nice little angle to watch for the pivot away from Moto towards main stairs. And here comes that pivot. Will Prone be able to find someone here? Does get completely flashed out. Throws another smoke canister. Still holding them back quite well with 13 seconds on the clock. Though, looking to get aggressive. Does take the swing onto Jasmine towards main. Able to catch that one. Now, Fuji going to be the last one left alive with 5 seconds remaining. Looking for the swing, but gets completely caught by Prone, who shuts it down towards main and gives Cumberland game one.
All I gotta say is, Penn State started out really strong on that round. They got 2 really early picks, 5v3, got everything open, and then, down to a 4v2, they just lost two really important members of their team there. One died on hatch, one died in generator, and that pretty much just killed the run. Final 2 remaining members of Penn State drop Moto, and they just get completely stalled by the smoke there.
And the thing too was we saw how Penn State Blue can keep their composure, their discipline when they have a significant advantage. But what I saw on basement was the exact opposite of that. We saw how they gave 2 away from Moto and Main the last time, and they did it again. Like, I understand, right? You took your one, and that was thanks to Jackal, but why not just back off? Like, you got your surprise element, but this is still a very hard site to just walk into. This isn't CCTV. This isn't gym bedroom. We're talking about basement on Clubhouse. That is one of the hardest to just walk in. In fact, it's one of the few sites that I've never really seen it happen. And to think that you're going to be the one to do it, no, you're not. I'm sorry. That's not happening.
Yeah, especially if, the final round, the do or die round on Clubhouse give, your rival team the map, comes down to a coin flip by dropping Moto. It's not a very good attack in the end.
No, like we saw the signs of potentially losing on basement, but yeah, Cumberland pretty much fully abused that, right? Same push direction, same mistakes, and this time they just had their smoke up and they were able to hold it off entirely, right? Not even letting them walk out past moto, which was really important because right when they got into church was when things really fell apart. They didn't even give them an opportunity. Though I am interested why they didn't try to do that walk up towards counter. Well, actually, not really. You had a smoke perfectly positioned there with a shotgun. So, I mean, it's kind of a dicey gambit, but at that point, you kind of had to. But in any case, now that Cumberland has secured map 1, we're now going to be moving on to map 2, Nighthaven Labs. So stay tuned for that, folks. That is going to be Penn State Blues map pick, a chance to try to bring it back into a map 3, which will be layer. Certainly going to be interesting for me, to say the least. But in any case, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and then we'll be continuing the action. All right, and we are back, folks. We just went through a pretty interesting game one. Penn State Blue had a rough start on their defense. Cumberland taking that in spades,
Players are
4-2. Though it was looking like there was an opportunity for a little bit of a 3-3 split, but that didn't come through. Cumberland almost securing the match point round at 6, but Penn State Blue started to make a bit of a comeback, though ultimately it kind of fizzled out towards the end.
Yep, Cumberland very impressive on their map pick there of Clubhouse. Very dominant, but I mean, could be a different story as we move to Penn State's pick of Nighthaven Labs.
Yeah, I definitely think there is an opportunity for that, especially where Penn State Blue is stronger on their defense. But that's the thing. It's going to be round stacking for them. That is going to be crucial here. And of course, we're going to see them ban Blackbeard because the last thing they want to deal with is direct in your face presence early on, because that's really where they struggled on defense in Clubhouse, was just not being able to put the fight to Cumberland. And when they do, it was just once, and Cumberland pretty much swept it up on the attack. So, not too surprised on that ban. The next one, Deimos, of course. Seems like Cumberland just really doesn't like Deimos, and I can't blame them.
You know, Deimos super useful in 1v scenarios. You know, you're trying to find, I mean, or 2v scenarios. You know, say it's late round 2v2, trying to find at least one pick. You know, get an advantage on your hands. Deimos super useful.
Hmm. What I'm kind of interested in is with Cumberland playing this on attack, because I believe it was them that they chose attack. I wonder if their goal is to try to take that early momentum, just fresh off of the first game, right? Everything's the most unpredictable. No one knows the team dynamics on this map specifically yet, and try to take that to revoke as many attack rounds, or I'm sorry, defense rounds away from Penn State Blue as possible. What do you think about that?
You know, I agree with that. I agree with that. They're definitely going to look to, apply some pressure there.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing how they will attempt to do this, especially when Penn State Blue is playing it safe on servers and command center, which I think is the right move. Of all the maps, I don't like the idea of trying to go for a gambit. This is already a pretty safe map for the defense to be racking up rounds, so why try to go for that, right? It's better to just invest your strats in those offsides and let the rotation play slowly. At least that's the way I look at it.
Exactly. No, I agree. I like to see teams, especially in Penn State situation, they had a pretty rocky map on Clubhouse. I want to see them try and find some momentum early and go in safe sites like servers.
Oh yeah, I would be 100% for that. Though their composition, or as far as Penn State Blues composition, a lot of it's util heavy, so I don't think we're going to see too much. Except for Whale Cookie, who's of course already spawn peeking. Thank you, Whale Cookie. Very cool. But doesn't really spot anyone. The immediate repel, so will not be able to catch one. Looking to try to hold for Rocky to keep that wall open as much as humanly possible. But so far, Cumberland just completely ignoring it. It looks like they're just going to raw dog against trying to get that wall open. But that's definitely within the means of possibility, because, I mean, look at the composition. Capital and Flores, it's going to be very hard to keep your feet towards the wall without the toesies getting a little hot or blown to smithereens.
Quite true here. Spoonman does take down Fuji for the first pick of the game. That is your Azami down, and Rifa's already in electrical. With 2 minutes remaining, we've talked about Rifa's space taking so far. Is gonna get taken down by Bandit. Bandit doesn't know where to look. Is refrag. And Penn State have brought this to a 2v1 already. Very quick round so far. Norway, the 1v situation, looking to find one, is going to get taken out by Whale Cookie, and Penn State take their first win already.
Bold from Cumberland, but overheated. And a great pivot coming in from Penn State University. To be honest, the way that they were able to push that back, the adaptability, that is perfect. And that, I love that electrical swing from Rocky. Other than the fact that he was completely lost on where the second player was, the refrag. He was looking for it, but he kind of panicked on where it was going to come from. But in either case, right, that pushback and the immediacy of it, I think that is something that will benefit them greatly going into defense. Especially Cumberland keeps trying to go for these bold takes and run that momentum. This is what got them caught on Clubhouse several times, right? When Penn State was defending. They tried to play it fast, and then they kept going into the gray and even into the dark. And that they got punished for it pretty dang hard to the point where that initial push became a disadvantage. And we see that full front. So I like that initiative, but like we said before, gotta tone it back.
So we move to Penn State defense on basement here. I've seen them play this before. Very, lots of vertical pressure, definitely, from below and from above. So, definitely interested to see how this plays out for him.
Honestly, I always love to see a sledge whenever it comes about. I don't see him all that often. It doesn't feel like I see him that much. So I do look to see what Prone Stars is going to be able to do, especially with Rifa. So they got a lot of vertical. They even have some redundancy on the side of Spoonman with the secondary breach charges, and even Tangy with some charges of her own. This is just a lot of raw utility destruction. Maybe a bit overkill for just the castles, which is the only really hard utility you can hunt down. Though I like the IQ as well. Rifa taken at the beach already. Again, another early pick coming in from Cumberland. This is that fast initiative that we tend to see. Spotting Jasmine, who's going to immediately fall back. So no capitalization coming from that. Just a raw drone loss. But I mean, look at Cumberland's drones. They still have 6 available after taking 1. That is very favorable. A blind nitro goes out from Jasmine. Not going to connect. What is it with the raw nitros with nothing to connect to? Ooh, a walk up from Whale Cookie to take Prone Stars out. That's a nice element of surprise. And there goes Sledge.
You know, Whale Cookie's really owning the vending stairs right here. It's a late round push normally, especially once you want to take into Exo and get a plant down. But, you know, Whale Cookie's just placed a Fenrir charge kitchen. I'd like to add, I always chuckle a little bit whenever I see a dock being played in comp. You know, it's quite a selfish operator, but it can really help, especially, you know, if the enemy team isn't hitting a lot of heads. I'd like to see that from Penn State.
It has its places, but I have to agree, it is kind of overrated how often we see it in competitive. I can't really get behind that. But in any case, with 45 seconds left on the clock, you still have Whale Cookie holding up on first floor, looking to prevent them from being able to walk down. Gets a nice shot on Rifa, takes Spoonman down as well. A clean 2K coming in from that top Exo Stairs hold. Devastating effect for Cumberland. Tangly at low HP, and Norway not even close to sight. This is now dire straits with such little to work with. All of that utility, all that potential for vertical, turning into a disadvantage, if anything.
Cumberland, this round, they haven't been able to apply any pressure to the defenders. Like, I mean, besides getting Animus open there that we saw Norway, but they couldn't get the wall open, and I mean, Penn State just ruled it.
Really putting the pinch down there as far as the defense, and that's kind of the thing. Like you say, they're not feeling any real pressure. Like Whale Cookie being able to hold above like that for that long. I mean, good on Whale Cookie. I mean, great discipline there, holding by vending. But for Cumberland, that was quite disastrous, to be 100% honest. When you're bringing that much utility, you're looking to get a lot more impact than just nothing and losing 2 players. That was not quite what we were looking for from the side of Cumberland. I'm not really sure how that exactly happened, but either way, big blow to them. They're finding no ground.
I mean, after seeing how those 2 rounds have played out, should Cumberland start to be worried? I mean, Penn State is operating at quite a dangerous level for them at this point, and they're playing with some real confidence. So, I mean, we can really see so far why Penn State elected to play on Nighthaven.
I mean, it clearly makes sense. I mean, Penn State Blues pretty much just steamrolling Cumberland at the moment. Both of their round wins have been quite decisive, though no flawless round. That would always be a little bit of a tickle. But in any case, yeah, this has just not been going well for Cumberland, and it looks like they're going to try to go for potentially a forced walk-in onto A, which I'm sorry, on B. I don't know how to feel about that if they do try to go for that. But it does look like that's the general direction that they're aiming for here. But you do have some stacked presence between Rocky and at the beach above. So, looks like either way, Cumberland's not just going to get a sneaky walk-in like they would prefer.
So we have Cumberland kind of just pushing on two fronts here. They want to get that garage wall open to clear out any players playing in there, holding storage. And they also have members pushing IT side. So they're going to look to clear out that vertical play, which is very prevalent on this site, especially because of, I mean, garage and how vertical it is.
Yeah. Though the direction that Cumberland is trying to push this is what's kind of worrying me here. It seems like it's kind of direct, but also kind of not. And it just seems like they don't really have an angle, but Rifa does a nice angle onto Fuji. Able to take one, looks to possibly take another right outside of Warehouse. This is some big immediate presence as Spoonman able to eliminate Jasmine down as well. And they will be able to get that walk in to force the plant. A nice hold up from outside IT thanks to Prone Stars. And it's an immediate collapse as Cumberland gets the plant down. And now they're going to be forced to walk back at the beach, getting caught from IT as well. This angle, as they try to retake Warehouse, is doing so much damage to Penn State Blue. Now looking to try to fight one outside a window, does get caught on the drone, but a bit tunnel vision, goes for the run out, doesn't spot anyone, but will take major damage from across the board outside the window on the vertical, and it will be a flawless round for Cumberland.
That attack was completely different than we've seen the previous two rounds. What a win by Cumberland. I mean, they really entried well, cleared the top floor, and they just asserted dominance on Penn State there.
I wasn't really sure where they were going with that for a second, because it kind of looked like they were trying to maybe pivot from Warehouse, which was kind of weird, because you're going to have a lot of line of sight there. But once I saw that IT repel, it all made sense. Isolate Warehouse and just surround site and don't even respect the vertical, which honestly is bold, but I like it because if you can cut them off from watching B, which you do thanks to IT, which is why they held that position, which was so powerful and is really hard to contest, and then you have Warehouse control, I mean, yeah, you're basically looking at a done deal. I never even thought to split it up like that, just completely ignore vertical, but it did so much.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, when you have man advantage like that, I mean, it was pretty much a 5v1, but say you're in a 4v2, I mean, it really helps with plant down. It really helps to have multiple people watching the bomb. It just opens up a lot of refrag potential for the attackers.
Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much all you need to win that round, in all honesty. And of course, Whale Cookie really wants that spawn peek kill from single window, but still doesn't find anyone on Cumberland going that way. But I do think that presents a little bit of a troubling precedent that Cumberland is focusing on these cutoffs, and we do see that exact one-for-one. Rifa getting that entry onto Whale Cookie. That's going to be a nitro off the board. So Penn State Blue is pecking heavy on nitros. You got Rocky and Jasmine as well. So they won't be able to get that same kind of walk-in, especially on a more consolidated site like Command Center and Server Room.
Whale Cookie going down. I mean, he's been carrying much of the load for Penn State here thus far. We see IQ getting into a gunfight around the garden area. I'm gonna clear out that test.
They do manage to get a pushback, and that will allow them to secure that wall quite easily, though. You do see Spoonman trying to get a little aggressive, looking to possibly catch another here, but no one really lining up to see each other. What I worry about is Cumberland trying to force this here. That's what considered the late round reinforcement to prevent them from having complete line of sight, but they still get that left side of the wall open regardless, so they're not going to fully deny that. Nitro coming out, looks to connect, doesn't pop anyone. Again, the dry nitros have just been all over the place. In fact, we've seen so many thrown out on the side of Penn State, but I don't think we've seen any kills come off from it.
Drone Stars does take down Fuji, who is the Azami, on a very devious angle from Garden. Very nice pixel from the attackers. We have 4v3 with 48 seconds remaining here. Cumberland with the advantage. Looking to make something happen here, just throwing out anything, trying to find some intel.
Well, yeah, with 37 seconds, they're going to have to try to find that opening because, again, with all that intel, there we go. The Nitro finally catching someone, takes Prone Stars down, but that's a hard breacher. That job's already been done, and you still got to deal with Tangly Tree with those 2 smoke darts still available. Rocky taking Norway. Penn State going for the pushback, but Tangly Tree does manage to get that refrag back. That's the opening you need to try to get onto site. But you still have that electrical and that shield. But Spoonman pushes it, takes at the beach down. But the down onto Spoonman with 7 seconds left has to fight this electrical player or try to go for the plant. But with time to spare, that's going to lead quite a lot. But gets off Diffuser, looking to take the fight, but can't find him. Oh no, the time runs out, and Penn State just barely takes the round. And as Will Cookie correctly states, pros don't fake.
Extremely famous T2 caster Jazzman there in the 1v2 scenario. Really just played it very patiently and got Penn State the win. Very impressive display of patience there.
Yeah, really good discipline. But the thing that I have to really question there is when you have 5 seconds to spare and that much distance between you, you kind of have to stick Diffuser. Like, I know it sucks, but you have to stick Diffuser. You have no one watching your back, and that distance, especially when you plant early, is gonna be your best friend. So unless you catch her full or Jasmine full committing, which he almost did, you're not gonna really get what you're looking for there. And we kind of saw that with how he was kind of just out in the open with no preparation to take that fight with Jasmine. That's what won the round.
100%. I mean, if that Cumberland attacker planted on bomb chassis in the control room, I really think they could have had a better chance of winning. I mean, Jasmine was in electrical, would have had to rotate and wrap around that bomb chassis, so I think that really could have helped their chances.
Certainly could have helped at the very least, but now we're going to see just what Cumberland can do onto basement, because so far, Penn State Blue, they've already got it even half at the very least, though I would argue that's probably not going to be the win condition that they're looking for. Jasmine does get caught. Oh my gosh, did that Nitro connect? No, but man, was it right on the money there as they were going for that clear from second floor reefer anyway, but only minimal damage. Only just if it was a little bit sooner, though. Jasmine does get a little bit antsy there, manages to take Spoonman down, and that is going to be a big momentum shift in Penn State Blue's favor.
I mean, we've seen a very aggressive basement hold by Penn State here so far. I think at one point they did have 3 people on the second floor, the first floor. And all right, it looks like Prone Star is gonna get in and take down 2 very quickly. Jasmine and At the Beach down. That is your Castle and Valkyrie off the board. And it is now a
Go ahead.
It is now a 4v3 for Cumberland.
Man, they overstayed their welcome there. Holy crap. Losing 2 like that, back to back. That's a big blow, and you still have players holding. Whale Cookie, what are you doing all the way up there? It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. That now puts Fuji and Rocky as the last ones on site. They still have a Nitro on the board, but this is not a good situation. When you had that advantage, that was the time to fall back. But now it's just far too late. With already a 2-player disadvantage, Prone Star is going to get revived here. And that now, no Nitros remaining. Got the down, but just couldn't finish the job. Though, Rocky now looking to try to stop this madness, making a walk up to try to further commit to repairing this dire situation. Does get spotted on a default, forced to fall back. This is exactly where Cumberland wants them. They just have to play this tight here, not walk into their funnel. It does look like they are lined up, Rocky and Fuji on a crossfire over towards Exo stairs, but you've got the pivot, and that's going to be main breach on the basement. This is going to make for a very tight situation.
Cumberland does have cams at this point, which is very strong, especially when the defenders are running Valk. Pretty much just gonna want to hold the thermite from entering. Does have that bomb chassis. 8 seconds remaining. Prone Stars with a kill onto Fuji, and Rifa cleans it up with the kill on Iraqi.
I see what they're trying to do with stopping that diffuser, but I mean, when you have all-around presence like that, stopping diffuser isn't going to do you anything. I mean, they did correctly call very clearly that that was the diffuser, but I mean, it's not going to really help you all that much, I would say. But with that said, we're now on the last round of the first half. Penn State Blue needs to redo this and take it. They cleaned it up convincingly the first time they played basement, but that second basement way overstayed their welcome.
100%. You know, that roam was very... Lots of pressure put on the Cumberland attack, for sure. Walked away with 1 or 2 there, but... just 1, I believe. But it really... Cumberland really did a great job of adapting to it, and they walked away with a pretty nice...
Well, and the problem is that those exo stairs, that was originally Penn State's golden ticket on basement, but now that's just been swept under them. Cumberland saw how much damage that was doing to them, and they were not playing it. They had enough of that position. And so the question becomes, if exo is no longer your golden ticket, well, what is?
I mean, that's something quite impressive we've seen from Cumberland. I mean, it really helps to explain their 62% attacking win rate as Tangley gets a kill onto Jazzman. I'll finish my point real quick, but they do a great job of adapting to, you know, any problems that they've had on prior attacks, and I mean, they walked away with a 4-2 split on club, and they're looking to get a 3-3 split here on.
Yeah, and I think Cumberland would benefit from that greatly, as it gives them a lot of space on a site that isn't their pick. But looking into the current round, Jasmine going down, that's already smokes out. We can clearly see the composition is based around stalling. Fenrir, Castle, Goyo, smokes. But the meat and potatoes of any kind of stall composition is always going to be smoke, the king of stalling with active utility. Second only to Tachanka as far as a close alternative. But when you lose smoke, you lose a lot of that potential. This is going to cause major problems. And man, they're still holding on to Exo Stairs. But again, Cumberland won't have it as they clear that position away immediately.
You know, the two people that you really need to be alive, especially when you want to deny the attackers from pushing, are going to be Fenrir and Smoke, and they're the first 2 defenders off the board.
Wow. Okay, Cumberland making a much better play onto the vertical, getting some major damage. I mean, again, when Exo Stairs is gone, they don't have that pressure anymore. And holy moly, Cumberland to finish off the first half with a flawless round. Okay, Cumberland cooking with steam. Watch out, folks.
Yeah, we finished the Penn State defense on a 3-3 split, moving to Cumberland defense. They elect to go command center servers first. I mean, that was a very strong site held by Penn State so far. We saw some really interesting rounds on there, and I wonder if Penn State can do something on attack here.
Hard to say for sure, but I do want to bring up a little bit of information. Nighthaven Labs, Cumberland is actually on a 61% win rate when it comes to attack, 55.6% on defense. So they did play attack to their strength as they usually do, but now it comes down to what they're going to be able to do on defense. My concern is how we see Penn State go on their attack, which unfortunately the stats are not good. Penn State Blue, when they were attacking Nighthaven Labs, 31.6% success rate. That's abysmal. So that's why I was saying if they get a 3-3 split, this is not good. I think Cumberland has the edge here.
You know, statistics don't lie, but I mean, it's really going to come down to which team can gain momentum faster. I mean, we saw Penn State on their first couple of defensive rounds. They really had a head full of steam, and they just started. They got into flow state there. It eventually withered out. They settled for a 3-3 split, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, but as far as the statistics go, my main concern is you want a round buffer because we know the attack is going to be a struggle, but the stats just show it's an even bigger struggle than I had previously anticipated. I was going off of the 40% model for overall, but for Ninehaven specifically, it's a lot uglier for them. So this is what you want to keep an eye out for. Whale Cookie going to take Tangley down already. That's a very early pick, though no active utility lost alongside that. Those ADSs are already down on the ground. But I love how Cumberland is coming out with Jaeger despite all the nerfs. Honestly, I respect it. We don't see Jaeger a lot anymore.
That's true. I mean, he was very, very prevalent in team comps. His once he was still at 3-speed, you can play him in a lot of positions. You can really anchor him. You could, roam with him. He's very strong.
I mean, yeah, he absolutely still has a good punch to his name. But, who doesn't have a good punch to the name? It's Rifa taking substantial damage, but Spoonman with a great re-swing onto Whale Cookie towards IT, preventing that funnel from being any more dangerous than it already is. Now, with a minute remaining, and this is where Penn State Blue has to make major grounds here. Cumberland still looking a bit antsy for that swing. Rifa showing exactly that, taking at the beach down, and that's going to put it even further lower, but Rifa gives Refract. That's going to be thanks to Jasmine from IT on the walk-up. It's now going to put it onto a 3-3, but with 40 seconds, they still need to gain some kind of major grounds of control. They have the ping, but Spoonman is just built different on that swing to take Rocky down. Gets refragged as well. Now a 2-2, and Penn State Blue still doesn't have a lot of territory to show for it in terms of getting that on-site presence with 20 seconds left on the clock. Has to make their way there. But Fuji goes down to Prone Stars, gets caught completely out in the open, and it's going to be up to Jasmine here to try to save the day here. The intel is out, just has to land those shots with 10 seconds left on the clock. Now going to choose to go for Diffuser, possibly to try to bait out a swing here, but actually just sticks it and gets off way too late to give another round to Cumberland.
I'm convinced at this point that we're not going to see an IT servers hold unless it comes down to a 2v2. Late round 2v2. I mean, it's been electric thus far. I gotta say, Penn State did a great job of taking out the Jaeger early there, but when it comes to clearing a shield, it's like a deer in headlights. Like, they got into electric, they saw the warden on the shield, and they just backed up. I mean, they need to start bringing some gadgets that can clear it.
And that's a point that I kind of forgot about going past game one, but you're right. Penn State Blue really does have a fear of those shields. I mean, you can't really blame them. The way Cumberland is using them with pixel angles and all this other crazy stuff has been pretty criminal. But, like you said, if you're having this much trouble, get a guarantee, right? A lot of teams will do that. If they have a weakness that they're struggling to deal with, they'll usually pick an operator, reserve one slot, just so they can, very early on, get rid of that problem. And like you said, we're not really seeing that from Penn State Blue.
They're doing a fantastic job on the, the gun game so far. They just need to start clearing. And, Warden in electrical with a shotgun, very hard to clear, but, I want to see them bring a Flores. I really do.
Hard agree. I mean, the Flores is brought in all the time for this exact reason. And I mean, if you look at Cumberland's composition up to this point, they really haven't been bringing a mute at all. But moving on from the shield debacle, it does look like we're going to be now playing over in basement. And I think this is kind of where the make or break begins for Penn State Blue. Though, I mean, it's still a basement site, which on any given map is going to be quite turbulent here. We're seeing not a lot of presence coming in from Cumberland towards the top, so this is going to give Penn State a lot of control to walk down immediately. Though, I would be willing to gambit that Legion and Goyo have a little bit to do with that, as well as the Pulse for playing the Nitro installed.
So we see, believe, yep, we have the Goyo in Leisure, yeah, Lounge. The Goyo and Lounge here just trying to find anyone creeping up, and he does find Rocky, as well as 2 drones. Goyo's gonna go back seat there after getting quite an early first pick.
Yeah, and the problem too is they don't really have anyone to refrag that position at the moment, which is going to cause a little bit of trouble here. Though they do have the ping, they know there's one very close by holding this position aggressively. Oh my gosh, but the swing out at just the right time. Prone Stars getting knifed into at the beach. I'd love to see how that happened. Now Penn State Blue is completely collapsed. They've lost all control. First floor, gone. Second floor, gone. They don't have anything. Tangley to take Fuji down as well. And this is a complete collapse going on to Penn State Blue as Cumberland is just putting the squeeze on them, not giving them anything. Intel doesn't matter. Swing it anyway, win those fights. And indeed, Cumberland is winning those fights, putting Penn State Blue in a impossible to win situation. Best call now, tag timeout, and try to reconsolidate as Cumberland is 1 round away from match point. Or 2 rounds after this one.
Yeah, so we see, Penn State. Oh, tag timeout is ended quite early by the Valkyrie in storage, and that just a dominant showing by Cumberland there. Their roam very, very strong. Just, I mean, they couldn't get in the building really. I mean, Cumberland was just at every angle, every time.
Well, I mean, you can also thank Prone Stars with the Pulse as well. That helps a lot. Being able to actively ping where those swings are going to be coming in. Because keep in mind, Penn State Blue didn't really have any pressure on basement directly until pretty much first floor got completely wiped out. And this is what makes Pulse so criminally underrated. The ability to get active information like that from a whole other floor is so helpful to provide opportunities for counter swings like the ones that Cumberland took in strides. And Penn State Blue just didn't have an answer for it. No counter, no pressure from basement. And I suspect this will be a problem yet again as he brings it back.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, so we see a,
Objective is to defuse a bomb.
I believe this is storage cargo, whatever you want to call it, really. Pulled by Cumberland here. Looking to push to match point. They got bring back the pulse on Prone Stars, who showed quite comfortable on that operator last round.
Though I do feel a little bit nervous around having a pulse on first floor, just because it's a lot easier to pressure a pulse here, because there's so many new angles you can approach from, whether it's second floor, basement, or direct pressure. It makes things a little bit harder to try to keep that up. But either way, when you have one less player to deal with, that makes things just a bit easier on the uptime for the cardiac sensor. Things like Spoonman taking Whale Cookie out.
No, 100%. Cumberland, they have a recipe though this far, and they are not diverting from it. Just aggressive roams and just winning gunfights. It's led them to the lead.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting, though, is how right now Penn State really doesn't have a response for Prone Stars at the moment, as he's completely alone in basement, just pulling out raw information. Of course, you got Ying, Cylinders, Candelas looking to try to force their way onto second floor control. Spoonman completely flashed out, does finally get out of it, but it's completely boxed out. But despite that, manages to catch Rocky, takes Fuji as well. It's a complete isolation. Spoonman putting out the damage, and Rifa to back it up, taken at the beat, and it's a complete fold on the second floor.
Spooman with a very clean double kill there from Waterfall and Rafters. Just completely kills the two-way push there, single-handedly. And
Yeah.
Jazzman, quick pick there. Maybe look to secure the second 1v3 with 50 seconds left. I mean, there's a chance. Not a very big one, but there's a chance.
Yeah, when you got the shotgun before he could even get out. Dirty work, Cumberland. Dirty work. But yeah, I mean, by the books, Penn State Blue did everything right to clear that, but he basically just called the timing. It was a matter of where are they going to push from first? Is it going to be Blue Hall? Is it going to be balcony? Or is it going to be electrical? They were working that pinch, but he just picked right. It was Blue Hall and was able to just slice and dice, right? That's kind of really what you have to do. I mean, by the books, he should have been a goner, but he called his cards and they lined up perfectly. The stars aligned.
You know, like we've seen on a couple Penn State attacks thus far, they really just have a problem with stalling out. Like the Ying in electrical, trying to make something happen, just nothing home for them. You know, they need to start finding out where these operators are, where the defenders are rather, and just clear them. You know, the key to attacking cargo or storage is taking vertical control, and they just completely failed at that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the other thing, too, is that when you look at how Penn State's just been attacking, not just on this map, but all around, there's been this problem where there's no redundancy, right? Like, Cumberland can confidently say, like, once they take someone out, that area is done. There's not going to be another person. There's no uncertainty. There's not really a cross they have to worry about. I mean, there might be cutoffs like we saw attempted last round, although set up pretty well, just very unfortunate for Penn State. But I mean, there's not a real pressure. There's no guesswork on the side of Cumberland. Once they take one, they know they're good. And okay, didn't know about that one though. Fuji holding close to prone, trying to run out and gets immediately taken out. So lucky for Cumberland, no Ying. Otherwise, that warden loss would have been a big problem. And Tankley to take Whale Cookie out, so that's at least a 1-for-1 on both sides.
Yep. Prone Stars with tried to get something going there on that run out to take out the Maverick, but is taken out. Fortunately for Cumberland, teammate was there to get the refrag. We have 55 remaining. State attack. Even man count. We want to see them getting more aggressive here. Just trying to get these defenders out of their hidey holes.
Yeah. I mean, Spooman, good luck with all those Asami barricades all over the place. It's going to basically just take a pixel angle in order to get her out. But Penn State Blue has to find something that they can cling on to. Because right now, as you can clearly see, with everyone being outside, Rocky going down already. And that's going to be thanks to the aggressive play coming in from Rifa towards meeting. This is what I see as so terrifying. Wow, what a shot. Where's the follow-up, Penn State Blue? Oh, man, it's a complete
If
collapse.
Rifa gets this, oh my goodness.
Rifa takes Jasmine too? Okay, Cumberland, you're cooking. You got some demons. Rifa, you got Tangley, Spooman, all just on a blaze. And unfortunately for At the Beach and Penn State Blue, this is over. It's a 1v4, 38 seconds, and it looks like they're not even going to try, most likely. But I mean, holy crap. Like, this is emblematic of exactly what we're talking about. You cannot be staggered like that. The Hall pick was just a nice shot. It is what it is. But when you're out on the window and you're not going for that refrag, I mean, you're setting yourself up to not take that. I don't know what to tell you. Cumberland, they've got the shots down. You have to try to stop that however you can. But in any case, Cumberland are your victors, and we'll be continuing on.
You know, I mean, Rifa just owned the field on that round. Like, I don't know if it was just more dominant gunplay from Rifa, or if it was just a bad player clear by Penn State. Either way, Cumberland wins the match against Penn State to secure their visit to the round of 8. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've definitely punched it in, and they have certainly earned it with a performance of that caliber. I mean, they just played that out so well. But the thing that I kind of have to wonder, you know, is just the lack of redundancy. I mean, it just kind of seems like, yes, Cumberland had the better guns, as we clearly saw towards the last 2 rounds, but overall, I think Cumberland was able to do that because the pressure wasn't there. There was no phantom pressure. Like, if you saw how they played, especially with runouts, you can tell that mentally they didn't feel any pressure. They didn't feel scared. They didn't feel like there was someone at their back at any given moment, because there wasn't. Once they cleared that spot, it usually doesn't get repopulated. It's just gone. So I think that's kind of that reading that Cumberland did so well. Being able to ascertain those types of patterns, those gaps that Penn State Blue had, is what won them the round beyond just the gunplay.
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, Cumberland, they found their momentum, got into that flow state, played the game like it was an arcade pretty much. I mean, they were winning everything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Because they had
mean,
the opportunity to.
exactly.
But with that said, I mean, Penn State Blue, you put up a pretty good run on Clubhouse, trying to bring it back after that first half. Good streak. But unfortunately, it just kind of fizzled out. And just got to have your numbers closer, tight knit. But in any case, we do have an interview for Cumberland coming up. So we're not done quite yet. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back, and we're going to get those fiery questions answered. All right, and we're back. Unfortunately, not for too long. We don't have someone who's available to give an interview, so we are done. But I do want to say that was still a great matchup either way, and congratulations to Cumberland for advancing. And I wanted to say thank you to the viewers for making this possible by tuning in. And of course, thank you to the production for even giving us the ability to do this in the first place. And of course, thank you to Ryan Sosa for joining me. So, Ryan Sosa, you got any final thoughts before we close it out for tonight?
Fantastic game by both teams. They played very well. One was better. Cumberland came out to play today. I want to thank the viewers, of course, and the production staff, and you, Pearson. Wonderful. So
Always,
thank
always.
thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yep, yep. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.